I'm Jeff Vaughn.
And I'm Lena Wynn. We begin with campaign 2016 and tonight's primaries. Donald Trump's winning streak continues. He won the West Virginia Republican primary with 76% of the vote. This is the first contest where he's faced no major opposition. His competitors suspended their campaigns last week.
And Trump also won the Nebraska Republican primary with 62% of that vote.
And looking at the delegate scoreboard, Trump is just a few steps away from clinching the nomination. He has 1,104 delegates so far. 1,237 are needed to win.
And on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders taking home a very big win in West Virginia's primary with 51% of the vote. Hillary Clinton came in with 36%.
And looking at the Democratic delegate count, Clinton is also inching closer toward the 2,383 delegates she needs to win the nomination. She has 2,238, while Sanders has 1,457. KCAL 9 political reporter Bryan joins us now with more on the race to the White House. Dave?
And you know, the focus tonight has really turned to Democrats. With Donald Trump free and clear now on the Republican side, the only contested primary tonight was that Democratic showdown in West Virginia. And if West Virginia proved nothing else, it certainly demonstrated what Sanders has been saying, that Bernie's not going away.
Last week, we won a really great victory in Indiana, and tonight it appears that we've won a big victory in West Virginia.
Having started the day in Stockton, California, Bernie Sanders moved north to Oregon, which votes next week, to celebrate his latest Democratic primary victory, this time in West Virginia, vowing to fight all the way until the end of the primary season.
What the people of West Virginia said tonight, and I believe the people of Oregon and Kentucky will say next week, is that we need an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%.
If I'm so fortunate enough as to be the nominee, I am looking forward to debating Donald Trump come the fall.
Hillary Clinton rallied her supporters in Kentucky, the other state that holds its Democratic primary next week. She pretty much ignored Bernie Sanders and turned her fire on right-wing Republicans, who she says never tire of attacking her.
I think they're really going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, this time. I have a little message for them. They've done it for 25 years, and I'm still standing.
But Clinton's inability to put away Sanders and lock up the nomination may be a growing concern for some Democrats. And new polls this week indicate she and Donald Trump are neck and neck in 3 key eastern battleground states. With no more Republican competition, Trump won more delegates in West Virginia, putting him closer to locking up his nomination. But the most bitter fight for him at the moment appears to be on Twitter, where he's at war with Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. She fired the first volley after Trump won the Indiana primary and became the likely Republican nominee. She tweeted she would fight her heart out to make sure Trump's toxic stew of hatred and insecurity never reaches the White House. Trump unleashed a flurry of tweets challenging Warren's Native American heritage. Goofy Elizabeth Warren, Hillary Clinton's flunky, has a career that is totally based on a lie. She is not Native American. Warren responded with 11 tweets accusing him of resurrecting the Native American issue from her Senate race in 2012 when she defeated Republican Scott Brown. She tweeted, "If you think recycling Scott Brown's hate-filled attacks on my family is going to shut me up, at real Donald Trump, think again, buddy, weak." And in another, calling him a bully who has a single play in his playbook, offensive lies thrown at anyone who calls him out. And Trump's toughest primary opponent emerged Tuesday as well.
Well, it is great to be back in the welcoming embrace of Washington.
Tongue firmly in cheek, Senator Ted Cruz returned to the Capitol, where he's actually deeply unpopular, and refused to answer whether he would ever endorse Donald Trump for president.
There will be plenty of time for voters to make the determination who they're going to support.
Now, in West Virginia, exit polling shows Bernie Sanders won independent voters in that state by a nearly 2-to-1 margin over Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primary. And most surprising is that he won among women voters in that state by a large margin over Mrs. Clinton. Most analysts believe her negative comments about coal mining did a lot of the damage, as you can imagine, in a state like West Virginia.
Well, of course, today we have another big week here. The big event for Donald Trump this week is meeting with, on Thursday, I believe, with Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan.
Right.
How important is this meeting, And what do you expect will happen as a result of this?
It's really important. I don't think you can overemphasize that. Despite Trump's claims that he'll win the election with or without a unified Republican Party, the Trump-Ryan summit meeting this week is monumental. It will go a long way toward determining whether the GOP establishment can fully embrace Trump and what concessions Trump's willing to make to get that embrace. And we'll know how that goes pretty quickly because Speaker Ryan has already offered to step aside as the chairman of the Republican National Convention if Trump wants him to. I think they will reach some level of détente. Trump said today they will have a positive result. And one of the reasons is it will take a unified party for Trump to get the money from big money GOP contributors and super PAC contributors, which he'll need since he's already indicated he won't be fully funding himself, Lena.